Yes, good evening, good afternoon. This is Harlem Network News, and I'm Terri Wisdom. And Harlem Network News is a media platform. We started at the onset of COVID, and we are still here. We consider ourselves an essential service, assuring that Harlem and the Harlems of the world are informed, engaged, and called to action. And this is more critical than ever at such a time as this. Black media, they have a foot on our neck, but we're not letting that happen because the media is the message, or is the message the media? Today on our show, we first want to salute one of our fallen and new ancestors, and that is in the person of Martin Baez, who's funeralized today, homegoing yesterday. He was a leader, an ambassador, many, many things. So we want to salute him. And very befittingly, we have with us here today an extreme community activist who's been around for a while doing lots of things. You see him all over the community, and he's very knowledgeable, and that is in the person of Julius Tajidin. And he's going to speak just a little bit about Martin because he was close and mentored, and they worked on things together. And then Julius, you're going to share with us who you are and whose you are, and your connection to this great Harlem community. Thank you so much, Julius, for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Terri. I'm from the Bronx. I was born in the Bronx, raised in New Jersey, had a military background and traveled all over the world and lived in various places in the United States, Utah, California, New Jersey, of course. But I came to Harlem in 2000. And I would say after I went to the Million Man March in '95, I had a wake-up call. It took a couple of years to resonate, but basically, I was guilty of not completing a lot of things, in strengthening the community. I would be involved in different groups and organizations, and if something didn't go my way or whatever, get into an argument, you throw your hands up and say, you know what, and you walk away. And that's Black people tend to do that a lot, and I was no different. And I said, that's a problem. See, now if I'm so great and I'm so smart, how come I don't have a resume? Like, I'm not accomplishing anything. So how could I even brag, or not brag, but how could I even tell people that I have some value when I don't have any credits? Meaning, I keep on walking away. So I realized that was a problem, and I stopped. And I said, you know what? I'm not going to walk away, and I'm going to try to find a way how to still succeed in what I'm trying to do. And once I stopped running, I started getting results.
Okay, so, thank you for sharing, and not to interrupt you, but that's a very teachable moment. We've got to follow through. We've got to learn to agree.
Because you're not 100% right all the time. Mm-hmm. See, so do you walk away, or do you, what's the goal? What's the real goal? So when I stopped running and walking away, that's when I found out that I could get somewhere. Another thing that I learned, I said, I started using my military background. Why try to reinvent the wheel? So now they have all of these governmental groups, you know, community boards and all these things, right? And you know, Terry, that we have a history of these civic and organizations that we don't need government to help us put together, but you know, I can name you dozens of them, you know,
Yes.
SNCC and, you know, Panther, you know, and they had committees and they have all these things that you see the community or the government trying to do. And probably doing it to sabotage, you know, the street movement. See? So the government says, we'll do it and to keep you from doing it. Okay, you know what? You're getting the same people that I might have gotten. And I'm not going to try to, you know, you got the organization already set up. You got offices, you got, you know, all of the tools.
Accoutrements.
Yeah, you got the facilities and all the things that you need. So I'm not going to try to counter that. I'm going to work within. Same way that you infiltrated our groups, I'm going to infiltrate and I'm going to get that group to do what I needed to do.
Okay.
And that's what I started doing.
All right.
So,
all right.
So community board, now it doesn't happen, you know, you get like 2 or 3 terms of a community board working with you, then you get a rogue community board, another like 2 years of like difficulty, but you get, you know, but you have to know by me being in this for a while, I know that I'm going to have good boards and I'm going to have boards that aren't going to work so well with the community. I think we're kind of like that right now. Like
okay, I hear you. And if I'm going to just stop you because one of the things that is really big for us here at Harlem Network News, I'm Harlem Network News, I'm Terri Wisdom. I'm here with Julius Tajidin. And one of the things that's very important here at Harlem Network News is knowledge. Knowledge is power. So you're speaking about the community board. If you could just briefly share, what's the community board? There's a lot of people who are not familiar. We need to be familiar. They don't have civics too much in school anymore, and local levels are important. So just share briefly, what's the community board and what has your relationship been to the community board? Thank you so much. And right here in Central Harlem, we are Community Board 10. So thank you, Julius.
Right. So community boards are a creature of the New York City Charter. New York City Charter is a New York State mandate for New York City. The charter or the state has given the charter some freedom where they can do things. They could amend, introduce, you know, different laws and so forth, but some things they can't do. Okay, so whatever the charter says you could do, you know, that's what it is, and that's like the Constitution of New York City. So within this Constitution of New York City, we have community boards. We have 59 of them throughout New York City. They're like miniature, they're like miniature city councils. Okay. So they take the neighborhoods and make that like miniature cities, if you will. And the community board is like the city council of that neighborhood. Okay. They don't have like real power where their votes or how they decide something can stick. They have advisory power. But all of the city bodies, like the City Planning Commission and New York City Council, they are supposed to consider what the community boards advise them on. Now,
okay, so the community boards really are kind of working with the people. They're working with the mayor, they're working with the borough presidents, and they're working with the city council. It's pretty much city level.
And City Planning Commission too, when they have land use issues. But all of the agencies, departments, transportation department, landmarks, you know, all of the different state agencies, everything that the city has, that all of those issues will come through the community board. So the community boards vet all of the issues: land use, transportation, housing, landmarks, economics, everything. And they have it within the city charter for all of these things that a city needs to operate. They run through community boards to sort of like get a feeling of how the community is feeling about these things. And so they make their opinions known. And now that opinion goes down the pike. And even though the borough president or the city planning commission or the city council, they don't have to take the advice, but the law says they are supposed to consider. Mm-hmm. They're supposed to consider what we're saying. So if a community board feels that it has power and we really unify together, then it's hard for the city council to do something contrary to that. The 125th Street was a time when Community Board 10, 9, and also 11.
Right, those are the neighboring boards, 9 and 11. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they solidified with the community. And it was very hard for Mayor Bloomberg at the time to get what he wanted. Mm-hmm. See, because like we really unified. And so we had all types of media covering this. And so, the rezoning really wasn't a bad rezoning. So it turned out to be a decent rezoning. And if you're going to get any type of height in that area, the subcore district,
talking about, yes,
yeah, which is from Frederick Douglass Boulevard to 500 feet east of Lenox Avenue. If you're going to get any density, and I'm going to tell you the density, it's capped. On the south side of the street, you can't go higher than 160 feet.
Okay.
And the FARs were established. So this is all you're getting. This is your FAR, your floor area ratio.
Floor area ratio. Thank you for that. Mm-hmm.
And this is your height. And to get the full height, you have to be bonused in. Mm-hmm. On the north side of the street, they set the FAR and they set the height. How you work that with floors or whatever, this is all you're getting in FAR.
Figure it out.
And this is your height. 145 didn't do that.
Okay, so I'm gonna let us not get ahead of ourselves.
Yes.
I'm Terri Wisdom, and this is Harlem Network News. I'm here with Julius Tajidin, and we are just started by Julius telling us his connection to the community. Now, Julius, have you been a part of the community boards? Because you spoke a lot about the community boards. What's your relationship to the community board? And then we're really going to move on to the topic of the day. We have a situation here in Harlem where there's been a vote for the project 145. It's very critical. It's very impactful. It's been on the table for a few years. So we really want to get to the meat and potatoes of that. But I'm establishing, who is Julius? What has your connection been to the community board? I know you've run for office in the past and you're very knowledgeable. So thank you.
So I started going to community boards in 2004. I was going to community board 10, but then I found out that I actually lived in community board 9.
Okay.
So I started going to community board 9, but still going to community board 10. And it was all during this rezoning, and the Columbia expansion plan.
Yes.
So
major
I wound up,
community.
Yes, I wound up being on committees with Community Board 10 and Community Board 9. the city charter allows for public members to serve on committees.
Okay, beautiful.
Yeah, but it gives them the choice of like doing it. They really should they should change that to make it where the boards have to put public members on. Right now, they did it at Community Board 10 and 9 in the past, but they're not doing it now. And they're not doing it now because
that's why knowledge is so important. I was on Community Board for 10 for 2 years.
Yeah.
And there's so many little caveats. That's why it's so really important to know what your rights are, know the impact. And that's very interesting what you're saying.
So they're kind of showing now. Remember I told you that you have some years where you got community boards that will work good with the community. And then you have some years where you get a community board that's kind of like not really working in the community's interests. So I think we're kind of like that now. Okay. That this present board doesn't seem to be really, working in the community's best interest. So
this is Community Board 10 that you're referring to?
Yeah. Okay. Because they've been talking about, we're going to start doing the public members again. What's taking you? They've been saying that now for like 7 years. So what's stopping you?
I'm glad that you're sharing that because not being on the community board any longer, and we know community boards part are appointed by the borough president, part by the city council, and if you're appointed by the city council, if you get a new city council person, it's easy for you to get bounced off. So it's interesting that you're saying that.
But that's being a board member. Yeah, that's being a board member.
Yes.
But to be on the committee.
Yeah.
Right. Which, a lot of stuff happens at the committee level.
Yes. No, that's why I'm saying it's very interesting, and very important that, regular citizens can be on the committees because you can influence, you can find out. Yeah.
If the board puts them on.
Okay. Okay. So let's put that out there. We know that that's something that we're looking at and a possibility. But this is Harlem Network News, and I'm here with Julius, and we want to get to the meat and the potatoes. We have, and the gravy. We have a project, the Project 145. It actually is up on 145th Street, crossing what is Lenox, Malcolm X Boulevard, and goes further towards Adam Clayton Powell Jr. Boulevard. So if you could just give us some background, because this has become a buzzword for what's going on up here. And I think it's very interesting. Harlem Network News, we consider ourselves the voice and the drumbeat of Harlem. And it's very interesting that everything else that happened in the city council, major media has been speaking about. And I really haven't heard hardly anything about the 145 project. And I think that's extremely interesting because that's a major factor and it's really not being talked about a lot. So if you could give us some background and bring us up to speed so our Harlem and the Harlems of the world are up to date and understand the dynamics of what is the 145 project, how can it affect us, and a bit about the vote. Okay.
Well, one thing that they're not trying to remind people of is that the rezoning request starts from 145th to Fine Fair. Now,
and Fine Fair is where, for those who don't know?
That's on Adam Clayton Powell Boulevard. So
okay, and 145th. Okay.
Malcolm X Boulevard to it's
Adam Clayton Powell. Okay.
Yeah, but it doesn't go past Fine Fair because but it goes up to Fine Fair.
And Fine Fair is a supermarket for those that are listening.
Right. Now, the rezoning allowed, and they only I heard them address only the Project 145. But the question is, did the rezoning allow for 407 feet? Now, they talk about that they reduced the floors, but if you don't put a height restriction on this, or you don't measure the FAR, like, you know, that's totally left up to the developer. Theoretically, 30 stories could still wind up being 450 feet. See, so that wasn't explained. You know, where are there height restrictions or just 30 stories?
Right. Because, and what I want to, just because I'm trying to like give the visual for people. This is a development project, and this development project has been around for a couple of years. It visited the I believe it visited the city council, it visited the community boards, and it wasn't passed. But what is the project? What are they trying to do? And then at a point it was turned around into a truck stop, and now it's back. So can you tell us, what is this 145 project, and what is this particular developer trying to do?
Well, the truck stop, that, you know, we have laws, and you can't bring a trailer truck over any of the cross bridges. So that was just something, you know, it wasn't doing anything. No trucks were being idling. None of that was happening anyway. So,
but what is just to the project itself?
The project itself wanted to bring close to 1,000 apartments, 2 skyscrapers. I'm going to give you I want you to visualize the Renaissance Hotel on 125th Street between Adam Clayton Powell and Frederick Douglass Boulevard. Think 100 or 200 feet over that.
Okay. And how many floors? Because that may make it easier for people to visualize. How many floors?
Don't go by floors, because if you make your floor from the ground, the floor to the ceiling, each floor could be 15 feet.
Okay, I hear you. Okay.
You know, if he
so an average apartment, you know, not pre-board, not high ceilings, if it's like maybe 10 or 12 feet ceilings, about how many floors are we looking at in terms of stories or whatever?
Well, see, you say floor, you say 36 stories, but you could still be having, you know, like with the 36 stories, he was up at 407 feet.
Wow.
So do the math.
Okay.
Say, okay, each floor then must be, you know, if you do the math, you could find out the floor ceiling ratio.
Okay.
So, but this time, them reducing it to 30, like, did they reduce it with a height restriction and a lower FAR? We don't know what they did. So just reducing it to 30 stories is meaningless. If he could still get 100 feet over the Renaissance, that's what we're talking on 145th and Lenox.
Right. Okay. So initially, when they were going to build it, there was certain constraints and things that they had put in. And obviously, there was concern about affordable housing. There was concern about gentrification. There was concerns about business. There was concerns about the impact on the infrastructure of the neighborhood, like the subway station's not going to get bigger. And there was concern about impact to Esplanade Gardens. So what was some of that was happening, and why and how did that not pass the first time? And where are we right now?
The MIH, which stands for Mandatory Inclusionary Housing, that's meaningless, really, because the so-called affordable units, when you say, now, initially, he was asking for some of those affordable units at 120% of the AMI. Now, what's the AMI?
And what is AMI? Let's break it on down. What's the AMI?
It's the area median income. And it doesn't mean the average income. It means that the midpoint income, that's what it is. So if you have wealthier people coming up here, or, you know, it now, if I add over here, it's going to move the midpoint, see? And you're going to get a higher income, see? So the area median income right now is $146,000 for a family of 3.
Okay.
Right? What will it be? Because when they talk about the AMI, they're talking about the AMI usually of the time of marketing of these units. See, he's in a brownfield situation. He's also in a liquefaction potential of high risk area. And I'm going to tell you why, you know, so this thing could get dragged out.
I'd like to just, we're going to get to those points. This is Harlem Network News, and I'm here with Julius Tajidin, and we're talking about the 145 Project. Initially, I believe the 145.
I just want to make this, Terry.
Okay, go right ahead.
The AMI 7 years from now could be 250,000 or 300,000. Now, even if you took away the 120%.
So when you say you take away the 120%, what do you mean?
That they're not saying now that part of the affordable package, that's not one of the income bands that they're doing now. But if it's still 80, if it's 100, 80, or 40, do 100, 80, and 40% of $250,000 or $300,000. See, and so that's way still out of the range of right now who's living in Harlem now. You're talking about bringing in people from outside
that can afford.
Yes, but what's in 60% of the households in Central Harlem and East Harlem only earn 30,000 or less. 60%.
Okay.
See, so the 40%, I would argue that most of the 40% might be making 100,000, between 60 and 100,000, and you have maybe a small percentage earning maybe 150 to 200,000.
Gotcha.
See, so this is really talking about people from outside coming in and trying to, like, now change the face of Harlem. And gentrification is really, it's a condition that came about, it comes about by illegal means. So gentrification is not something that happens.
By what? Say that again, please. Thank you.
Illegal means.
Illegal means. Gotcha.
The government is the one that's violating, you know, laws about fair housing laws and all that. The government's doing that. So they create, you know, they're creating this by them allowing this rezoning to go through. The government did this. This is not gentrification that happens naturally.
Organically.
I mean, there's no such thing as organic gentrification. Gentrification is a condition that's created by government intrusion. So pushing people out, a group out, and bringing in a wealthier class of people, usually white, because that's what it's going to be. So you're going to push out blacks.
We're in America. We know what time it is.
Yeah. So that's, gentrification is caused by government. No such thing as gentrification naturally.
So we're getting we're getting some clarity. But one of the things is like a property or a project like 145, that property is currently owned by a developer. What is
Yes.
his name, the developer that the property is owned by?
Well,
Because we want people to be clear.
he only owned from the ground to maybe 50 feet above ground.
Okay.
We, the people, owned the sky part that he wanted, that he wants.
That's the air right.
Yes, we had that. That's property.
Yeah, the
air rights is property. Yes. So we owned that. And so we gave him so far, but the mayor has to sign off on this. But if the mayor vetoes it, and I'm going to tell you why he would be justified in vetoing it, but we increased this man's wealth. He would have only been able to bring in maybe 300 people, additional people. He could have made it high income. Now he's going to be able to bring in, if he can bring it in, maybe 4,000 mostly white people. So 300 as a right to build as a right. Now with the rezoning, he can do 4,000.
Okay. So from 300 people to 4,000.
Yeah, we gave him the ability to bring in, yes, because remember, now the part of the outside of the 145 footprint that was never discussed. He bought that property, that gas station that was active. He bought that. Okay. Now he owns that. And that's outside of the 145. And now he has the ability to build as a right with no strings attached. There's a MIH in it, but there's no real, there's no community benefits agreement. There's no stipulations. So he could now bring in that 120% of the AMI of 7 years from now.
So when you say the 120%, that if we can break it down in numbers, like what the income is, and is it a 120% over the, what is that? Because
so the AMI is 146,000. 100% would be 146,000 for a family of three.
Gotcha.
Add 20% more.
Okay.
See? And so now you have add an additional 30,000 on that.
Got it.
That would be 180,000. That's with the current AMI. But if we're talking an AMI of the future, say, because if I showed you the trajectory of the AMIs over the last 10 years, you would see how they jump. Double digits. Now this 2025, the HUD only allowed an increase of 4%. Other places throughout the country, they went up like 20%. Okay. Most of the time, we go up 15%. So next year, 26, we're going up either 15 or 20%. See? Okay. They're gonna make up. Okay. They're gonna make up for the low boost for this year. They're gonna put it's going to be 20% probably, and it's going to keep on going up. Okay. Which that's what it tends to do. It always goes up.
It's very complicated. What people need to understand is there is a property owner, and I believe his name is Teitelbaum. There's a property owner. He owns that property. It's a private property. And the first time he tried to do the building, the community board voted it down. I don't remember what happened with the borough president, but the community board definitely did not have it pass. And we had a city council person. She was only for one term, Christian Jordan Richardson. She basically pushed back hard. So it didn't happen. But here we are for circular reasons.
It's Kristen Richardson Jordan. Kristen Richardson Jordan.
sorry. But here we are 2 years later, and it has raised its head again. And so we have a lot going on, this AMI thing and talking about affordable housing and what is affordable housing. And in a lot of instances, they're giving, if it's a building, only 33% of the housing will be affordable. So these are some of the things wherein it basically kind of pushes us out. And
But what's affordable? See?
And what's affordable.
Now, Yusef talked about the AMI today, but in these negotiations, did you say to him?
Speaking about our current council person who is of our
Yusef Salaam.
Yeah, Dr. Yusef Salaam is our current council person.
And let's be clear about something. The doctor, you know, that's an honorary doctorate thing. Right. So he's not like he, you know, studied any philosophy and got a PhD. So he's not acting like a doctor right now of any type of philosophy.
Okay. In your opinion.
Is it the AMI today that you're sticking to with this developer? Or, you know, like, so come out and let the people know what it is. See, they're kind of like, now you try to call the office now, it goes into the voicemail, and they're talking about COVID and due to COVID and all this. See, they're now keeping away from community because he's going to get all kinds of calls. And I think he even has his phone, like I tried to text him recently, and he has it where the messages can't go through.
Okay. So we just this is Harlem Network News, and this is a lot of information to take in, but for just general terms for the community, there's a 145 project. We just had a vote in City Council, and I believe that City Council kind of pushed this through. There are other spokes that have to happen with it, but our council person, and I give people whatever their title is, Dr. Yusef Salaam, I give that, was at the helm of let's push this through. And basically stating that there had been changes in this project from the last time that were more amicable to the community. So it's a very critical thing. And, you know, in the spirit of media and journalism, because we are about news and information. So we definitely have invited our council person, Dr. Yusef Salaam, onto Harlem Network News. And we're going to keep pushing to get him on, because I think it's very important that people hear from him the how and why. I also think that it's very important in such a time as this that our public officials are accountable to the community. You know, if you're voting for something, whatever it is, I don't care if it's our Congress people, our state legislators, whoever they are, you know, if there's something major of a vote, meetings should be had with the community so you can hear what the community thinks and the community can hear what you think. And then there's a meeting of the mind. Because
he should be doing this now. He should be meeting with the community, doing town halls, telling people what it is exactly they accomplished with these modifications. Now, he should be prepared to give answers, not like say, let me check back with you. No, you need to give these answers now. Is 30 stories with some height restrictions? Is the AMI you're talking about 146,000 or the AMI at the time of marketing? You got to have those answers now.
Right.
Otherwise,
I understand as well that what was originally the few years ago going to be 2 buildings, it is now 3 buildings.
Yes,
so that has changed. And one of my questions, I know that I have the numbers here, but I don't want to confuse the people. I know one of the buildings has a 33% affordable housing. What is affordable? I'm not sure.
When you say 33% or 100% affordable?
I thought that one of them was 33% affordable. One
No,
of them
two
was, okay, so
are,
break it down.
the two buildings,
Mm-hmm.
33% affordable.
Okay.
So affordable to who? But, and then the smaller building that they added,
Mm-hmm.
100% would be affordable.
And that
Now,
is for
again,
seniors? Is that for seniors?
Seniors and mainly seniors, and but they're not really clear about that. You know, that it's a
Okay.
very
And about how many units is that? If you have
well, it's going to be like a smaller building, around 8 floors.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So now
Yeah,
these were
I actually am looking at some numbers, and these may not be set in stone, but I believe there's supposed to be like 338 total affordable units. 165 are deeply units affordable, and that's under 60% of the AMI. And then there's some family size units, 2 to 3 bedrooms, 30% minimum. And then there's senior houses, which was added, and they're going to be 90 senior houses. So I think we really have to be able to read between the lines, and, you know, also holding the developer accountable to these numbers, because one thing is that now, and I believe, and you can, you know, clarify that for me, but I believe that developers often get a tax break when they come to a neighborhood like Harlem. So these are things to look at it, investigate, and be clear.
If yeah, I don't know if he might be getting a tax break with the senior housing. So they haven't really told the community, like, we don't know all these things, and that's what
we need to
know. So oftentimes when the city gives a rezoning, or they give you land, and you provide a certain affordable, you know, you provide a certain amount of affordable housing, they will give you this tax break.
Okay.
We don't know what that is.
Okay.
And we don't even know, you know, we should.
We should.
So, but it's now one building will have 122 affordable units. The other building will have 126 affordable units.
Mm-hmm.
The 90, which is in the smaller building,
the senior building.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That was never really fully explained, how many floors, how many units going in there. So it's like, you know, like it's allowing him too much wiggle room. Like, we don't know what's what. See, you're like, what did you really, what is it? 90 units, like, out of how many? So just come out and give us like some numbers.
Yeah,
and these are very,
we need that. We need the full report.
Right.
Because these things will impact us. The people that move in impact voting, impact the laws, impact quality of life. And in a community like Harlem, where we are disfranchised, in a country where you know, Blacks are disenfranchised, and I say this every show I have, that our own city comptroller put together a report basically saying that in the state of New York State, the mean income for Blacks is $19,000. The mean for whites is about $270,000. So when we look at that, we know how extreme the concerns are, we know why there's even a cry for reparations, because that's the only way that the playing field is going to be level. And it's very concerning because there's a big talk about needing housing. Housing is needed, but this is not housing that those that need the housing are going to be able to move into. So we've
this is housing for people to come in to try to displace Black people. Really, that's the housing that they say we need.
We got to be clear. So what happened? Because I mean, we could talk about this for 3 hours. There's a lot of facts, there's a lot of things, but what happened with the vote on, I believe it was Monday, at City Council for this 145 project, and what was the role of our City Council person, Dr. Yusef Salaam? What was his role in it? What was his pivot in this?
He basically he negotiated something with Kevin Riley and the developer.
Okay, and who is Kevin Riley? What's
Kevin Riley is the chair of the Zoning and Franchises Subcommittee of the Land Use Committee at City Council.
Okay, gotcha.
So these modifications now were voted on July 14th, right?
I think it was
this happened this past Monday,
right?
Right?
Just happened just this past Monday.
So the modifications under the URLIP process,
and URLIP process. This is on the Network News. I'm Terri Wisdom. This is Julius Tajidin. URLIP process.
Uniform Land Use Review procedure.
Thank you.
Whenever something goes through a rezoning or acquisition of city property to a developer or whatever, it has to go through the Uniform Land Use Review procedure. Community boards weigh in on it. The borough president weighs in on it. City Planning Commission weighs in on it. Then it goes to City Council. If City Council modifies a URLIP application, it goes back to City Planning to see if it warrants any further environmental review. If City Planning feels that it does, it goes back to Community Board 10 for a shorter review period, Borough President, back to City Planning, and then back up to City Council. City Planning could also say, wow, this is a significant change to such a degree that this requires a new URLIP. I don't think City Planning is going to do that, but you can't tell me that adding a new building doesn't require further environmental review. Now, I heard that they sent it back to City Planning, and City Planning immediately, I don't know if this is true or not, but our council member should know if this happened. See, but did they say this doesn't require further environmental review? And now you could go ahead and this can now be presented to the mayor, or does it need further environmental review? So, but let's just say that City Planning did it very quickly. And so now City Council, they can take action. So the mayor has, once they put the stamp on it, which could be Wednesday now.
Okay, so City Council, once City Council put the stamp on it?
Yes, because if it gets, if City Planning says it doesn't require further environmental review. So now they can adopt, there still has to be a process, some kind of process where they adopt those modifications. It gets sent to the mayor. Okay. The mayor has 30 days to either veto not do anything or sign it into law.
Mhm.
All right. Now,
So what does it not doing anything mean? What happens if he
he
doesn't
doesn't
do
take any action. And then
Okay.
after 30 days,
Mhm.
it becomes law.
It becomes law if he takes no action?
If he takes no after 30 days.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, gotcha.
Okay. So if he lets this go through, that's going to hurt his reelection bid. See, we're not playing with these people. See, we have God on our side. We really
Okay.
do. And we're not playing with them.
And we're talking about the people, the swell of people in Harlem who have built Harlem, who are Harlem,
Well,
who are disproportionately disenfranchised.
Yeah, but God, when God gets into the picture, he may not necessarily be doing it for the Black masses, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
God could be doing it for a different reason.
Mm-hmm.
See?
For righteousness.
Yeah, so our people better start thinking about righteousness, and they better stop all this other foolishness.
Mm-hmm.
But let's get back to the problem that Bruce Teitelbaum has, really,
Mm-hmm.
and why the mayor would be justified in vetoing this.
Okay.
I told you that there's a brownfield situation.
Right. What is a brownfield situation?
Okay. A brownfield is when a property is where some toxic material or a business that had toxic material was once there.
Okay.
So gasoline stations.
Right.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the gas leaks out of these tanks. There's always leakage.
Mm-hmm.
There's always leakage. So gas, will leak out and contaminate the soil. Mm-hmm. Also, there was a laundromat in between where the the so-called truck depot was,
right,
and NAN.
Yes, National Action Network is right there on the corner.
Kind of, yes.
Kind of.
So,
yes.
So that laundromat also released toxic waste in the soil. Mm-hmm. It becomes more devastating if that soil is not compact and solid, if you will. If it's loose soil, which that's what liquefaction soil is, it's kind of loose.
Okay, see? Liquefaction, Harlem.
Right.
So let's get it.
That means that there's a strong likelihood that contamination spread all throughout the liquefaction zone. Now, for liquefaction to be of high risk, it's where from the ground below, it's probably like, 50 to 200 feet. So all of that soil in between, and I'm going to tell you what the danger is of this liquefaction soil. We're in a high risk zone. That means if an earthquake of any magnitude struck the area where the project wants to go up, or nearby, or we got a level 5 magnitude anywhere in the city, which would resonate in this area where 145 is, it would resonate like a 1, right? Or maybe 2, whatever. But there's a greater than 50% chance. Listen to me, Terry. A greater than 50% chance that the soil would turn to near liquid. Okay. So now you've got buildings that are in this liquefaction soil, and now it's behaving like a liquid. That means buildings.
So what needs to happen? Is there like some kind of scientific evaluation that has to happen to see if it's safe to do this? I mean, You know,
So,
when I'm thinking of New York City, we got so many skyscrapers and we have had gas stations and all kinds of stuff. So, you know, I don't know how much of New York City is built on brownfield
no,
liquefactions.
the federal government makes sure
Okay.
if you get caught developing
Mhm,
in brownfield lots,
mhm,
they'll have that building. That building will get torn down. Federal government will deem that building unsafe, and
mhm.
that building will get demolished.
Okay. So we've got a lot of factors to
And
consider.
that
A lot
under
of
a
factors.
president like Trump,
Right.
that building's coming down.
Okay. So we've got
So
a lot of factions to consider. Just in terms of moving forward, the buildings, because we know that National Action Network initially in the initial project, there was some thought about them being in the building and there being like an African American Civil Rights Museum. And I know once the first project, went like south, National Action Network wasn't in that. But I do know that they are speaking about having, and what I consider a really small percentage of Harlem businesses. I think it was like 10% women and 20%, Black owned businesses, So, I mean, once again, they talked about bringing in training apprentice programs. I heard, and I don't see it in any reports, where okay, yes, we're going to do a transformation of the Brigadier General Charles Young Playground for $8 million. And, there was going to be a technology center. All of these are kind of attached to this whole project that the developer, this is saying that they're going to do this to kind of appease the community or to help the community or to make it a fairer project. And then they also said they were going to give an intern program for youth residing in Community Board 10. And then there was also, which was very vague, that they were hiring consultants and other investments to the adjacent Esplanade Gardens. But a lot of these things that they're saying are very vague and they're crumbs to the community. Why
yes.
not just give 50% real affordable, and then you've actually done something. So
But why
these,
not offer 50% of the non-union construction jobs? Why
Mhm.
couldn't that go
Yeah,
to
right.
U.S. Harlem citizens?
Yes, absolutely. And I mean, this is a big question because it's the 145 project, but it's a big question even with a Columbia University that's just taken eminent domain and really whatever things they said they were going to do to help us, the community, because they know they're, moving in, taking over, that really doesn't get done. So it's about this whole precedent of what is happening.
Well,
So,
I just want to, Columbia University doesn't have eminent domain power.
okay,
So it's the Empire State Development Corporation,
okay,
which is the state of New York.
gotcha. Thank you for clarifying.
And now the eminent domain law of New York State
Mhm.
empowered the MTA to have eminent domain power, but it's no private organization has eminent domain power.
Okay, thank you for clarifying
With the
that.
Columbia expansion, the Empire State Development Corporation exercised eminent domain and said that Columbia was giving the community such a great public benefit. And so that's why they did it.
Okay, I
But
hear. So
let's
we
get
have
back to this.
we got a lot to contend with, and it's
The
important.
liquefaction soil
Yes.
under the secret, the city environmental quality review law
Mhm.
required this developer during this environmental impact phase, required him to do an assessment on the liquefaction.
Mm-hmm.
He did not do that.
Okay. Checkpoint.
He stayed away from it.
Checkpoint.
That I gave everybody, Community Board 10, Borough President, City Planning, I gave them maps, facts, reports. It is MTA even admits that the 2nd Avenue subway from 96th Street to 118th is in liquefaction soil. I can show you the map.
Mm-hmm.
They told me it's 100 feet where they are. See, they had to hit bedrock 100 feet down. Now, remember I told you about the brownfield and the spreading of contamination? Just imagine that from 145th all the way to Fine Fair to Fred Samuel Housing, all of that now, the contamination spread all across there, down 100 feet. You would have to excavate that whole area. I want you to visualize what 100 feet looks like from the ground up.
Mm-hmm.
That's the depth we're talking about. All of that would have to be excavated. Then, as you're building these buildings, you're going to have to do, piling, and you're going to, because there's still liquefaction on the street too now, right? Below the road, there's liquefaction. So there's liquefaction surrounding Fred Samuels.
So there is so much to consider. I thank you so much, Julius, for just dropping a lot of this knowledge, bringing up a lot of these issues. We Harlem Network News are going to revisit these issues. We're going to get everybody on that we can, our public officials, our council person, whoever, borough president, whoever we can get to talk, because this is critical to the people. There are, there's science to it that's impactful to us, environmental things that are impactful to us, but economically it's impactful to us. And it's a situation that is we're being displaced. We, for the most part, are disenfranchised anyway. So we've got to look at this, that we can't continue to pass laws that do that. So I'm going to segue.
Real quick, I want to say this.
Go right ahead.
That you said whether he could do this project or not.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that financially he can't do it, but we gave him all this wealth potential. He's going to sell the land to an entity that can do this project.
Okay, in your opinion, thank you. Mm-hmm.
And that new entity won't have to do anything, because I'll bet you any amount of money that all these things that they negotiated does not run with the land. It's with the developer.
Okay, with the specific. So there's a lot of factors raised, and at least today we're at the beginning and we're raising these factors, and we are wanting all eyes on Harlem, all eyes on 145 Project, and we are wanting Harlemites to rise up, pay attention, investigate. And we know that we're overwhelmed with just living and whatever it is, but we've got to seriously get out of that mode. So last, what I'm going to do, Julius, I want, because you mentioned the mayor, what are your thoughts? And, obviously this is your opinion, whatever it is you'd like to share on the mayoral election and the impact on our communities. What are your thoughts? Thank you.
The mayor, he should definitely,
the current mayor, the sitting mayor.
Yes, not allow this 145 to go through. And I think if he deals with the environmental issues alone, that no one is going to rise up against him, because now that would really be deemed an attack on the Black community in Harlem.
Okay.
So if he vetoes this and gives environmental reasons, making it be about safety and those type of things, if the city council overrides him, that will look like a direct attack on Black people in Harlem.
Okay.
So I don't think they will override him if he makes this an issue. But if he doesn't make this an issue, that's going to bite him in his behind.
Okay. Okay. Well, thank you. This has certainly been.
And I'm going to say this to you.
Yes.
Curtis Sliwa is in striking distance. But you know something? Right now, that I don't see Mandani really looking out for our interests. Eric is not acting like he's looking out for our interests. And Cuomo has already shown himself. So Curtis Sliwa, hey, I'm not scared of that.
Okay.
I'm more afraid of Eric, not looking out for our interests, or Cuomo advancing other groups more than us, and Mandani turning New York into some socialist communism city. I'm more worried about that.
Okay. All right. Okay. And that's pretty much in your opinion. When we say, just to take a little deeper dive, because this is media, we want to kind of give balance. And sometimes terms are just like thrown out there and I don't know the substance behind it. But, because when we say socialism, when we say communism, I mean, there are some things that are happening in this city that are socialist anyway. And I don't know what we can call what the tax structure is when basically all of the working people, are getting 39% of their salary or 49% in some instances taken from them. And then over a certain amount, people making over 250, 300, they're really not paying any taxes. So I don't know what you call that, but whatever it boils down into, I'm for the people. So,
when you have people, for example, if they're not pulling their weight, but you're making everything like, even, that means some people are going to be more affected in a harmful way because they have to do more work. So in order for socialism to work, you need some people doing more to make it work. See? And that's not fair. Someone doing more work so that other people who don't deserve anything really, they do less work. See, so that's not a fair system. But it's never where everybody is happy with it. It's always someone is doing more and getting the same as somebody doing less.
Right. And some people are doing less, but they're really making more money because of how deals and things are cut. So we've got a lot to contend with. But, in my world and in the perfect world, if we could see equity, and some of those godly things that you're talking about in terms of how people are treated, that would be great. So we have a lot to contend with. I'm Terri Wisdom. Thank you so much, Julius, for really dropping knowledge, sharing your opinions. Opinions matter, thoughts matter, especially opinions that have been researched and gone into based on knowledge. That's what Harlem Network News is about. It's what Harlem Network News stands for. And Black media matters. We've got to get funding and infusion for Black media because it is important. I mean, people don't know what's going on, and keeping people ignorant and not active and feeling they can't do anything, that's criminal, in my opinion. So we've got to change that paradigm, and the swell has to come from within. It has to come from the people. So that's where I'm at. And you got to be informed, you know, and
Yeah.
also have to understand that these things impact you. And this is a call right here from this podium of Harlem Network News for all of our public officials on a local level to be accountable to the people. In many instances, we voted for you, so you gotta have some accountability, okay? It's very, very critical. You know, there's lots of conversations, black faces in high places, but it's the accountability. And that's what we want. And that's what we have got to start demanding. You know, in many instances, we love our people and we love our public officials. And because of that, we really haven't been speaking out and challenging and holding them accountable. But that's our job. It's just like if you love your children, you got to discipline them. You got to make sure that there's some accountability. And we're starting to see this for the first time. We really haven't been seeing it. I know there was a small protest out at the state office building. You know, people calling our council person, Dr. Yusef Salaam, out on what his decision is. There was another swell in Brooklyn. I don't know if it was in Ocean Avenue or whatever, where I saw, you know, our leader, Tish James, and people were out there, they were protesting. They were like, businesses are losing their businesses. People are losing their houses. What are you doing? This is healthy. This is healthy. You know, it's not that we don't love you. It's not, but you gotta be accountable. You gotta be accountable. And I believe that's the call now. You know, we had another situation in Brooklyn where Haitians swelled the street and ICE had to leave. You know what I'm saying? So we're in that time, in such a time as this. And whatever's going on in the federal government that is abusive and impacting us, you know, on a local level, we're not expecting that. We're not gonna tolerate that. We can't. So I'm Terri Wisdom, and this is Harlem Network News, and there are going to be more intense conversations, more knowledge, and really trying to rally the people to action. So thank you, Julius. Harlem Network News, you can reach us at 646-261-5397, harlemnetworknews.com, harlemnetworknews@gmail.com. We're all over social media. And if you have stories, opinions, news, information, please share it with us. It's critical. It's critical. So closing statement, Julius. Thank you.
The difference, what Kristen Richardson Jordan had in her favor, she welcomed.
And that's our former council person.
Right. She welcomed my counsel and she took it to heart. Yusef has been pulled away from my counsel. Mm-hmm. See?
And when you say your counsel.
Advice.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Counsel in that sense. I got you.
Yeah, teaching him about land use issues and so forth.
Thank you.
So Kristen became receptive, you know, and Yusef was being pulled away. Mm-hmm. So that's a mistake that he made, and is still making.
Okay. Thank you. In your opinion. Okay, so we got a lot to contend with. As they say, change gonna come. So, and we got to make that change.
We need to dictate the change, Terri.
Excuse me?
Yeah, change will happen. But to say that we just let the change happen and don't do anything.
No. We've got to be a part of the change. We've got to direct the change. And
there you go.
That's who and what we want to be. So thank you so much for listening. And please call in and get active, take action, and hold everybody accountable. Hold your public officials accountable, hold your clergy accountable, hold your teachers, your principals accountable.
Your
neighbor. This is about some accountability. So thank you. All right. Well, have a blessed and prosperous day. Knowledge is power. And I'm Terri Wisdom, and we are the voice and drumbeat of Harlem. Thank you. So goes Harlem, so goes the world. James Baldwin said that a long time ago, and it's true. So we are the Mecca. So thank you. Culture, arts, we are. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Have a great afternoon. Have a great evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Julius. Thank you for speaking your truth to power. And that's really what media is about. You know, hearing different voices, hearing different opinions, and then being able to listen and make your own assessment. So thank you.